Standard physics is remarkably precise when mapping the decay of a radioactive atom or calculating the eventual heat death of the universe. Yet it remains entirely silent on the death of the observer. In the standard framework of quantum mechanics, the observer acts as an external, immortal camera. They record the experiment, but they exist outside the equations governing the universe they measure. Early pioneers of quantum thermodynamics attempted to address living systems by defining them strictly by their ability to maintain negative entropy, their capacity to resist physical disorder. This approach bypassed the first-person experience of dying entirely. Because the observer's emergence and disappearance are absent from these standard equations, physics cannot answer what happens to the structural information of a mind when consciousness stops. Treating the observer as an external camera creates a mathematical blind spot. Until we formalize the observer as an active variable, our model of reality remains incomplete. The observer-dependent theory of everything, or ODTOE, resolves this by treating the observer as a constitutive mathematical operator. Reality is the continuous result of this operator actively projecting infinite potential states into sharp, actualized configurations. Within this exact framework, death is not the annihilation of material. It is deactualization, the precise moment the mathematical operator ceases to project. Once the operator halts, the structure of collective reality permanently shifts for all surviving connected observers who were entangled with that individual. By redefining death as a mathematical phase transition rather than a physical deletion, we can map the exact thermodynamic and quantum mechanisms of dying. The metric that keeps the observer's operator alive and actively projecting is called cognitive coherence. The formal equation for coherence is B. It equals focus times emotion times internal consistency times experience. The critical property of this formula is its structure. It is multiplicative, not additive. In a multiplicative system, if any single variable zeroes out, the entire resulting product collapses to zero instantly. Mapping this math to clinical dying reveals why the terminal phase operates as a runaway cascade of compounding failures rather than gradual subtraction of parts. Biological dying is a structurally inevitable collapse. Once a single cognitive vector reaches zero, the observer plunges irreversibly toward deactualization. Phase 1 is the loss of focus. The operator's mathematical variance approaches infinity, resulting in the projection of chaotic, untethered configurations. Clinically, this is observable as terminal delirium. Phase 2 is emotional dissonance. The observer loses their spatial amplitude, severing their ability to emotionally resonate with actualized reality. This emotional flatlining aligns with foundational psychological models of the dying process, where profound apathy emerges as a documented structural necessity of dying. Phase 3 is the zeroing of experience, the scalar grounding component. Its absence severs the observer from past iterations, rendering all present projections completely contextless. Phase 4 is maximal contradiction. Internal subsystems entirely decouple, the integrity multiplier hits zero, and the operator halts. The precise mathematical moment of death occurs when coherence equals zero. The feedback loop breaks, and active observation permanently ceases. When coherence reaches zero and observation stops, a paradox arises. Does the information of the observer's lived experience simply vanish? To answer this, we track the world line. A world line is the unbroken mathematical sequence of all actualized states generated by the observer while alive. Biological death stops the generation of new states. However, the world line itself is an inseparable mathematical object that cannot be deleted from the geometric space of potential states. This directly mirrors the black hole information paradox, stating that physical information can never permanently disappear, even inside a black hole. Because the world line persists as a finite mathematical object, the structural information of the dead observer remains permanently accessible to the fabric of reality. Living observers interact with these deactualized world lines through coherent legacy, the mechanism by which the dead continue to influence the collective configuration. This influence relies entirely on artifacts left behind. The thermodynamic lifespan of any artifact is inversely proportional to its internal contradiction. Modern digital footprints offer a stark example. A fragmented social media feed has near zero internal coherence, meaning its thermodynamic lifespan is virtually zero. The alternative is found in highly self-consistent artifacts, like foundational mathematics or ancient philosophy. These works approach a perfect coherent score of 1. These perfectly coherent artifacts act as conduits, allowing the original author's worldline to be actively reactualized by living operators millennia later. True legacy relies on the extreme mathematical self-consistency of the artifacts produced, rendering the raw volume of data left behind irrelevant. If an artifact can achieve mathematical immortality, why is the biological operator condemned to inevitably fail? The answer lies in thermodynamic stochastic noise. Stochastic noise refers to the random, unpredictable fluctuations that gradually degrade the order of any open system over time. We see this limitation by contrasting a continuous biological phase space, a map of all possible states, against an elementary observer, like a proton. A proton operates in discrete quantum states. Its coherence is structurally locked, forbidding continuous decay. It is functionally immortal. Biological observers exist in continuous phase spaces, where every cellular division and cognitive act introduces micro-perturbations. We observe this theoretical noise in literal biology. The shortening of telomeres, protective caps on our DNA, acts as the physical ticking clock of stochastic noise approaching a critical failure threshold. Absolute biological immortality is a thermodynamic asymptote. It is mathematically impossible for finite beings because it requires infinite information capacity to perfectly suppress this noise. The biological operator must inevitably halt. Yet maximizing the coherence of our creations ensures our worldline remains a permanent resonating structure in the geometry of the universe.